to the CRE Collaborative Sector Expert interview. I'm Andreas Sunny, your host, founder of CRE Collaborative, third generation real estate developer, real estate broker, and all-around fun guy to be online, on air with. Joining me this month is none other than Brent Bowers, the land shark expert, coach, investor, entrepreneur himself, veteran, and not just veteran in real estate, a veteran in the services. Thank you for your service, Brent. Tell me a little more about you as an investor, why buying land, selling land is where you found your place in the world. Introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Andreas. I'm excited to be on here, and it's just I humble myself. I still am humbled that I get to speak to just audiences like yours, professional real estate investors, commercial investors. I mean, just 8 years ago, I was preparing for my third combat deployment to go to Afghanistan a third time, and I was leaving my two children behind and my wife, and again. And I was looking for answers, and I was looking for what the heck can I do to get out of the military? And how can I make $4,000 or $5,000 a month and not have to deploy all over the world? So I found land investing, and it was just on a podcast just like this. A guy was talking about doubling his money overnight. And I didn't believe him, but I started putting in the income producing activities that he talked about, getting in front of landowners, and sure enough, it worked. It was crazy. So that's my story. You know, I haven't had a real job since 2018.
Oh, hold on. This is a real job. You work hard every day, right?
I
just gave up a salary. Yeah.
Let me tell you my secret. I want to be very vulnerable here. I work harder today than I ever worked in the military. And here's why. Is because I'm building something. I'm excited about this. I still get up at 4 a.m. And like last night, I wanted to work till like 8 o'clock at night, but I just I need to go spend time with my wife and my kids. And so my life is never in balance. I don't think most entrepreneurs' lives are ever in balance, but I work harder today than I ever have because I'm excited about what I'm doing. So
it's not work today, because
it's not work to me.
What you love, it's not work, but it is hours. There is output. There is responsibility. People look at real estate often and they're like, "Oh, it's easy. I could do that." It's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard work, and it takes time and dedication and looking stupid from time to time and making mistakes. And, I love commercial real estate because, land is technically commercial. I buy land at a discount and I sell it for more. And I love to sell it on payments. I get passive income. I get monthly payments. I have roughly 48 active land notes. I have quite a few more, but they're not quite active. Some of them are behind, some are in default. Yada yada. We're taking that land back.
Hold on. So back up. So 8 years ago, you're deploying, you're switching gears, and you find land. You see a YouTube, you see a podcast.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, I can do that. I can invest in real estate. You cannot invest in real estate for $0 down. We all know this. Despite what YouTube or others will say, you need to put skin in the game. So you started with a note. Sounds like you went to notes and land. How did you get started? What's that look like?
Yeah. So great question. And my business evolves every day. So now I take that money and I put it into commercial real estate. So I don't spend the land money. I further invest it because those babies are making more babies. So how I started was I just started sending postcards, a simple handwritten postcard to people that were behind on taxes for their land. I had no clue whether it was county owned tax delinquent list or whether it's a tax lien state, or I still don't care about any of that.
There's pendants. Yep, something's happening. I'm just going to send a little note. How can I help you, right?
Simple postcard. Say, hey, my name's Brent. I'd like to buy your land at 123 Main Street. Or half the time it didn't have an address, so I'd just say the county. If you're interested in selling your land for a fair cash price, call me or text me. God bless you. It was handwritten, black and white postcard. If anybody wants a copy of that, I still use it to this day, along with some other things. But just go to thelandsharks.com/postcard. Take action. So I took action immediately that night when I heard that podcast. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just took the action.
You started the movements. Yeah.
Yeah. And crazy thing happened. People called my cell phone. So I remember I'm in the I'm in the military. I got to be on base at 6 a.m. My phone rings at like 9 a.m. Right after formation. And I'm like hiding in the bathroom taking this call from this gentleman. He's a retired CPA. And he's like, hey, Brent, I got your letter. Love it. You can have the land for $285. It's on Lake Avenue. And I was like, oh my God, I recognize that name. I was like, this has got to be a scam. I know where he's talking about, which I was wrong. It wasn't in that area. It was in another
Lake
area.
Avenue. Yeah.
Different Lake Avenue. But I said, hey, can I look at it over the weekend? I'm, in the military. I told him my story, blah, blah, blah. He said, sure, I don't care. Like he wasn't in a big hurry. So I looked at it, didn't know what I was looking at. I called the real estate office that was down the street because I was hoping the real estate agent would know on a Saturday. And it was like a gift from God, man. A lady answered the phone. She knew the street. She knew why the land was not buildable, by the way, inefficient land. And she made me an offer on the spot. She said, I'll take it. Because I really just wanted to know what it was worth and what she could list it for. She said $10,000. I was like, my eyes almost shot out of my head. I'm buying this thing for $285. Now, the deals have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger ever since.
But the mechanics are the same. You bought in low. You knew you could sell for more. So you made that offer. And that was a note. That was a straight purchase. What was the structure?
That one was a straight purchase. And it was about a week later, thank God, because I had a Capital One and American Express bill due because I was borrowing money to send those postcards, by the way. It wasn't my money. So I was using other people's money, OPM. But yeah, thank God. Like she said, is it okay if I just make you an offer of $5,000? I said, sure. She obviously knew something I didn't know, but I knew I was making a fat profit. And
she bought it. She didn't list it. She bought it from you and then flipped it again because that's really the name of the game. Back to back.
So she paid me the next week. Well, the title insurance company paid me the next week a $5,000 check. And that one was straight cash, which I needed it. That's about what I owed to the credit card company. But what's even better was the deal I got that week after getting that $5,000 paycheck. This one was $500. We're talking big money now, Andreas. Like this is huge money. And let me tell you, I was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared to put that money into these deals because I had 2 babies in diapers. I had just moved across the country. I was making $4,500 a month and spending $4,600 a month. So I had a problem.
Yeah.
There was more month after the paycheck was gone. So this next one I didn't think was worth that much. $500. I didn't know what it was worth. I took photos. I put it on Craigslist, and I said, "Here's how desperate I was." I was like, $500 down, $400 a month, because I was thinking people will finance anything. They'll go out and buy a brand new F-350 or 1-ton truck or whatever and spend $100,000 and they'll finance it for like 9 years. What if I did the same thing with land? Because I want these guys that think on payments only. So $400 a month. Sure enough, next day I had a buyer that came to my house, gave me $500 cash. I wrote him a contract for deed or a land contract, and he paid me $400 a month. Now I have passive income, baby.
Loving it. That's right. Because at the end of the day, if you invest in real estate, commercial real estate, land, whatever your investment, you need your cash on cash return, right? It's the money you bring in every year, your leverage appreciation, and then your tax advantages. So now you're flipped one, you rolled that into the double, a single became a double into your next investment, which became passive, which enabled you to use that cash flow to buy other things and leverage up. Sounds like. Am I on track here?
Yeah, you're speaking it. You absolutely are.
And then now we're a year later, the deal size as 10 times bigger. Now you're buying what?
Yeah, I'd like to say that, but it took me a little longer. I then got into like $5,000 and $6,000 and $7,000 deals, and then I started assigning contracts. I got one under contract from a bank for like 25 grand. Turns out it was worth like over 100. And I would
explain that to the audience, right? What is owning a note as opposed to assigning a contract as opposed to straight sale?
Yeah. So the first one was a straight sell. The second one, I created a note, which is beautiful because now my truck payment's being paid for every month. And I remember having the conversation with my wife, and I was like, listen, what if I just keep doing this? Now, truck payments paid, water bills paid, electric, and then maybe one day we have our mortgage paid. And sure enough, 9.5 months later, I was financially free, and I'm doing that in air quotes because like I was making like 4,500 a month. I had about I had about $5,000 a month net coming in from land payments, and I literally thought I was like like a rock star because I no longer relied on the Army check anymore after that.
That was the
So
question. So it was a year later. You're out of the Army.
no, I wish it happened that quick. I had to fight and claw and scratch to get out of the Army. It took me 3 years for them to release me, and it's crazy how that worked. It was definitely a blessing. So I was an Army officer.
That was on them. You would have gotten out sooner because it was working. You built a model.
I don't know. I'd like to say I had the guts to, but that 3 years was a nice runway because I needed to build up. But answering your question about like explaining the assignment of contracts, so that's another way to do this. Is I got a piece of land under contract from a bank that this bank took the land back from someone, and they agreed to sell it to this guy named Brent Bowers. Like I didn't have 25 grand, by the way. And I don't know if they knew that or not, but I was freaking out when I signed this contract. And I went out and put out 33 signs on the side of the road all over all around this land, like at main intersections and stop signs. 44 acres, 38K, must sell my phone number. So I did 33 of these signs. And basically, if you do the math, I had it under contract for 25K. I put it up for 38K. Don't ask me where I came up with that number. But what's the difference between that? Like $6, $7, $8, $13,000.
Yeah.
And that time that was life changing. So crazy thing was I didn't finish putting out the signs and someone called. And he's like, where are you at? We met in front of the land. I shook his hand. He said, we've been driving around for 2 weeks now looking for land, and your signs are popping up as we are driving. So we shook hands, agreed on the deal, and then a day later, I'm getting ready to go to the field with the Army to train, and I got a higher offer. Oh my goodness, like a $15,000-$20,000 higher offer because someone knew what it was worth. And I called this Texan gentleman, and I said, hey, what if I paid you? So basically, I got a higher offer. I want to kill our deal.
38K became 60K.
A lot more, yeah. Basically, it was 14,000 more, yeah.
14,
so I was like,
more.
I got an offer that's 14,000 more than what we agreed on. I will give you, because I feel really bad canceling our deal because we shook on it and all. And I'll give you $7,000. I'll give you half of it, of the higher offer. And he said, no, I want the land. We agreed on it. And I was like, I was about to throw up. I had the worst feeling in my stomach because I was like, what do I do? So I called one of my coaches that I had a real estate coach at the time that was helping me as well. And his name is Cody Hoffine. And he said, Brent, you already know the answer. You know what to do. And just pretty much hung up on me. And it's like, call that Texan back. And I said, we agreed it's your land. Let's go.
Right.
So I made 13 grand. I'm so glad I didn't sell out and, blow this guy off. But it was absolutely incredible that, now that extra 14 grand doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, your network is your net worth, and your reputation is everything, especially in real estate, right? If you'd taken that other deal, if you'd taken that 36% bump in profit on one deal, probably would have killed your business by 50% over time. So you didn't do that. You looked at the long-term goals, right? Long-term strategy. It wasn't about short-term gains. It's about all the above. Yeah. You move on to the next one. So how many pieces of land have you flipped at this point?
I've done over 324 at this point. I've got quite a bit in inventory. I think I have over 212 I'm looking at my board here. I got like 212 parcels in inventory. It's built up to quite the operation, and I don't have a huge team. This is not something. I bought the office building. I bought the big truck and all the toys, and then I realized I was feeding my ego, and I now work from home. COVID changed that for us, and it was a good thing for me personally. So I rented out that office building, got rid of all the expenses that came along with that, the cleaning service, the coffee service, the water service, the lawn service. But, it's just, I kind of have expanded and contracted multiple times.
Well, so you scaled it up, then you slimmed it down. You got rid of the bloat, right?
That's right.
Got rid of the stuff you didn't need. But in all this time, you're not bumping into competition. You're finding properties. You're using a broker. You're not using a broker. How'd you do it?
Yeah, from time to time, I'm actually buying a piece of land right now through a real estate broker. So yeah, it's I'm not I won't discriminate. I usually look for off market land. If it's on market, it needs to be at a heck of a discount.
It's on market. You're bidding against others. You'd rather go off market. We get this. It's control. Getting control of the assets is the key, right? If you can get control before the public market, that's where you're going to maximize your returns. So that's what you've done. That's what you continue to do. And you like brokers. That's a good answer, by the way. We would have canceled the show. I am a broker.
Yeah, I always use brokers now to sell the land, because when I was selling it on Craigslist and Facebook and putting signs out and neighbor letters and calling builders, it's way easier to list it with a good broker that knows land, whether it be a commercial parcel or a industrial parcel or a vacant residential parcel. You got to find the right land sales specialist real estate agent.
Got to keep the surgeons in surgery, right? Different people are good at different things. In the Army, I'm sure you taught that. Specialties, specialists do certain things. So that's what you've done. How would you, or what would you say to someone looking to buy land? What were the mistakes you made? What was the biggest thing you wish you knew? I always talk with experts in different spaces, and you don't know what you don't know. Questions you don't know to ask. So what's the biggest question you didn't know to ask?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'm always, I need to update this list, but I call it my due diligence checklist or my land buying roadmap. Anybody's free to go and get a copy of that if they go to thelandsharks.com/DD as in due diligence. There's quite a few things on
show notes for those tuning in.
Yeah, I appreciate it. There's like 14 things on there that burnt me at one time. And the sad thing is like I'm a slow learner, so it had to happen to me. And it's like, even though I had a real estate coach and they told me these things, like I still fell into the trap. So if I could save anybody else, but a couple of things I'd like to add to that is, one, always use title insurance. I don't care how cheap the land is, but get a title insurance policy. Thing that just burnt me a couple years ago, unfortunately, was it wasn't quite a couple years ago yet, but I had legal ingress and egress access to the land. Road was there, everything. But one thing that was missed on our due diligence checklist, or we call them SOPs, our standard operating procedures, our checklist, was no one called the county. No one called the county to make sure that we could get a building permit. Now, I'm not building on the land. Why would I care about that? Well, the person that's going to buy it might want to.
Land is valued on its future use, right? What can I build it? What will
highest and best use. So we can build horse paddocks on it, but the highest and best use is to put 4 houses on this land. But the county, even though 90% of the parcels around this area, houses around this area, are driven to via dirt roads, the county wants me to be the developer and put in curbs and gutters and storm drainage and asphalt roads. And I'm like, this is going to be $1 million. So I hired an attorney to fight this for me, because this is nuts. They made my land basically worthless. So my fault. Should have checked it. I shouldn't have bought it. Or I should have bought it for way less. And I paid a pretty penny for this land. Now, if it were buildable, it would have sold already for a massive profit. But little things like
got
that.
It buildable. Let's talk commercially. Entitlements, allowed by right, prohibited use, permitted use, getting land and changing that use, getting that value up. It's huge. So you overcame this obstacle with this attorney.
Not
Did you
yet.
build the curb? Not yet. You're still sticking with it.
I'm still there, and I'm watching the profit go down.
No roads.
I'm watching the profit. Now, I've had a couple people that wanted to buy it, but again, they're like, oh, well, when I explain the whole situation, they're like, oh, yeah. When you work that out, let me know.
So do you buy it all on your own still, or do you still use other people's money?
A little
mixture, syndications, a little bit of both.
I've done a couple syndications. I prefer to buy it on my own. However, one of the things I love the most is I've implemented the profit first system, and I like working with just regular people that have money to lend. They're not usually in real estate because they're looking for like passive return. I'm sorry, not passive. They're looking for active returns. I'm looking for the passive return person like my neighbor or my mother-in-law or my plumber or my attorney, someone that's not actively physically practicing real estate because, generally they're looking for much larger returns on their money. I like, just paying regular normal people 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% on their money,
Sure.
dependent on the land deal. And we get title insurance policies. We get lenders title insurance policies. We pay them monthly. So it's just, we want to protect them as well, protect their money. We give them a mortgage and a promissory note or a deed of trust, depending on what state it's in, just to protect that lender.
That's right. Because notes in different states mean different things. There's so many different, let me rephrase that. There are different implications for the same words, depending on what state you land in, depending on how you use that land. So you have to be very careful where you buy notes, how you buy notes, what type of assets you're acquiring. Have you bought or wound up with any dirty sites? Let's talk about that.
Like environmental issues?
Sure.
No,
Yeah.
no.
No.
If
So you've stayed clear.
so, I have a rule, a hard rule. If we're looking at the land and we see the 55-gallon drums, those barrels you see on TV, the environmental waste sites, we don't buy it. No,
Okay.
no, I'm not buying land that's been used before as a gas station. You'll be really
Raw
careful
land
about.
only.
Yeah, raw land only. Got to be really careful about like old commercial sites or old, even light industrial. The buildings I'm buying, you got to be careful about those because you want to make sure that it's like not contaminated, polluted, all these things. So,
Phase one, phase two.
yep.
That's what the good brokers are for, to guide you through to the right assets in the right places. Do you have in the world of land, in the world of all your land investments, how focused are you on growth cycles, on the demographics of a community, right? Are you
Yeah.
looking at land that's going to be vacant for 10 years, 20 years? Or
Yeah.
are you buying up land adjacent to developments? Or does it matter?
Preferably,
Preferably, but it costs.
adjacent. Yeah, it absolutely costs more. Sometimes it's on the path of growth. But here's the thing: I keep it real simple. I want to see demand. That's it. I want to see land selling, other comparable parcels of land selling, and I'll price it on that. I used to buy land in the middle of nowhere, where land wasn't selling, and that's almost like
Look at Disney World. That was a
yeah.
sweet deal.
That's funny you're mentioning that because I brought that example up to someone the other day. I think it's one of the most quoted land examples ever. But yeah, you're right. They built in the middle of nowhere, and now look at the area. I actually made a pile. So I made a pile of money just not too far from Disney World not too long ago.
That's fantastic. You didn't buy it for a buck like Disney, but a pile of money. The money's there. Pathways
Yeah.
to profits are there. They're everywhere. It's not just land; it's commercial. It's funny, on our show, in my day to day, people always ask, "How's commercial real estate? How's residential real estate?" It is generational wealth. They're numbers on a ledger. As long as you factor in your rates, your returns, and they are within your tolerances, you're good to go. For land, it's the same thing. I have found land investors, but even people that come in and just land bank it, it's all factored in, ready to go. You're in there ahead of time. You want to send to the guy, you want to sell to the guy who's going to land bank it. You're coming in, getting it at that, let's say $50,000 number, and then selling it to the guy who needs to land bank it for 100, 200, because he's going to hold it for 10 years, the insurance company, or the developer to subdivide. Are you actually doing that subdivision work, or you're just trying to sell it straight sale?
Most of the time trying to sell it straight sell. I've done a couple subdivides. I'm no expert on it, and it's a lot of work. There's future looks at that. There's a couple parcels of land that we're looking at, but yeah, I try and keep it really simple. My preferred method is I want to seller finance as much of this stuff as possible. I just want to be the bank. That's it. Because the banks are the biggest, prettiest buildings in every city and every state because they pretty much use our money interest free when it sits in the checking account and lend it out for an interest rate.
Rich people earn interest, poor people pay interest. So, said simply. So here you are. I know we've got a limited amount of time today. You bought all this vacant land. You've basically been successful the whole way. You've been quoted as saying your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. You already said to me you were a man of your word. You gave up bigger profits to keep the deal you shook on in good faith. What are some other examples of you putting other people's interests first that have helped your business?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I didn't realize it at the time, but when I got out of the military in 2018, I was going on a lot of coffee appointments and teaching people what I was doing. And I realized I was spending a bunch of time doing this. And most of the time I was paying for the coffee. And I think it was just because it was built, again, feeding my ego. I was like so happy to just tell people about what I was doing. And then I had a friend of mine, he built a very successful company, and he's like, "Hey, how's the land going? Are you teaching anybody? How's it going? The people you're teaching?" And I said, "They're not really doing anything with it. I'm just spinning my wheels, I feel like." And he said, "How much do you charge?" I said, "Nothing." He goes, "Are you crazy? That's why they're not doing anything with it. Go in your local library. There's no one in there because it's free." So I immediately, I had someone that's funny the next day come up to me and ask me how much. And it's almost like it was like God's perfect timing. And I said $1,000, and I one-on-one coached him. And this guy's living in Hawaii now with his 6 kids, making 40 grand a month, passive income. And I
From your
realized that,
coaching. You
yeah,
got it.
buying and selling vacant raw land. I one-on-one coached this guy, and I realized I really, really enjoyed seeing someone get a result way more than me doing it by myself in my land business. Because at that time I'd done like 50 land deals, so I was definitely not an expert still at this point. Um, but I really enjoyed that, and just seeing the like you said, the wealth, the generational wealth. Like, I've got this amazing ripple effect now with so many people. Like, I just brought in a guy yesterday into my community. He just got out of prison, and this is like the fourth guy I've helped that's come out of prison that I haven't gotten to him to he hasn't gotten to a land deal yet, but he'll be the fourth one. And I just love doing that. So that's kind of where that quote came from.
And yeah, so helping others succeed. I teach, I coach, I get it. I love watching people succeed. I love giving advice. But to your statement, there is a cost, right? We have an hourly rate. We are worth X. When we spend our time or when we give it away for free, it's never given away for free. It's an investment in that person, in that relationship that's going to come back. Many times it's easy to forget to say, you know what, I should be charging you today because I don't know what tomorrow will bring for you. And more importantly, that investment in this relationship is really skin in the game. If you're willing to spend 100, 200, 250, whatever the coaching cost is to get going, that's just like putting down the down payment on that piece of land, right?
That's right.
To get the deal, to flip the deal. And that's what I realized a long time ago. My wife and partner will tell anyone and everyone I overinvest in every person I train and I teach and I partner with. Right? I spend too much time on them. But I look at each one of them and I see them doing deals and I love it. It's like, let's do more deals more often, even if I collect a little less, because it's more deals more often in more ways. All right, we've got 5 minutes left. I know this was a short expert sector interview. What's the one biggest piece of advice you can give to the audience? It's the one book or podcast they should check out. It can be your own. I'll let you do a shameless self-plug. And then how do they reach you?
Yeah, the biggest advice I can give you is whatever your path is, maybe commercial real estate, commercial buildings, I don't know, care what it is. It could be mobile home parks. You stick to that and you take action daily, every single day. I don't care if it's 5 minutes a day, but income producing activities, getting in front of sellers, and then eventually getting in front of buyers and or tenants. You just got to do the income producing activities daily. The podcast, I host, I'm one of the hosts on the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. Every Friday, I do a case study with one of my Land Sharks community members. And I forgot the rest. I think that was it.
So the rest of it being, you've got your podcast. How do they reach you? How should they reach you? You taking on coaching clients? I mean, you're training your competition. Why would you do that?
Yeah, no. So I do deals with my competition. That's funny you asked that. I don't, there's so much out there. Just because I give you a piece of my pie doesn't mean I'm going to get any less. I'm doing deals today that I never would have had the opportunity to do because of the Land Sharks community, our community that's been built. I don't take on a lot of people. I can take on a few a month. because I'm a full-time, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christ follower, I'm a full-time husband, full-time father, and I got multiple businesses. So I keep it really light on the coaching side. But yeah, I'm always interested in working with very sharp people that are committed and they want to take action.
So you would say your next goal is to find the next smart person to do the next biggest deal. Is that an accurate
I
statement?
love that. I like that. That's good. I'm going to take that.
Hey, I got a friend of mine. Both his kids are in the Army, and he works with me. He's a great guy, and he has this statement he says all the time. And I'm going to close up with it because in commercial investment, in leasing, tenant rep, landlord rep, sales, land, right? Facts don't factor in feelings, right? It's the numbers, it's the returns, it's the deal in front. I think it's an Army saying, I believe. Feelings don't get factored into facts. And it's just one that's stuck with me. I hear it all the time in my head. But it sounds like you got it. God bless. You're doing well. You're growing. We're going to send you some people. Hopefully you'll send us some people. People can connect into your network itself, the Land Sharks. Is that an online?
Yeah, they can go to thelandsharks.com if they want to schedule a call, or I'm on all the socials as well. Brent L. Bowers.
Brent L. Bowers. Love it. Love it. This has been fantastic. I'm pissed we only had 40 minutes, but you're busy out there making money, and we're busy over here making money. So being busy is complaining with a full belly, right? High-class problems. Thank you again for your service. Thank you for tuning into the show, being a sector expert, coming in, talking about your experiences. And I'm looking forward to following your growth, continuing on these conversations. I do have a tech question for you, and it's a bit of advice potentially. Do you know what landgate.com?
Landgate.com? No.
Landgate.com will tell you all of the passive income available on that property, from mineral to land to air to solar, all of it and any of it. This is all the ways that property can earn income or be valued outside of traditional real estate sales, which might save you on that piece of land that you're working on. And if it does, I like scotch. Send me a bottle. Let's do this again. But landgate.com, it's an incredible service.
I hope I have to send you the biggest bottle of scotch you've ever seen.
All right. Mr. Mendoza, I want to thank our show producer. I want to thank our audience. We are nearing our 100th episode with over 3,000 tune-ins and downloads monthly. The CRECo.ai Roundtable is the one and only place to get your candid conversation about the industry, everything from investment to lending to brokerage to tech to cybersecurity to marketing. Tune in anywhere you get your audio, all your social media channels, or just ask your Alexa or other device. Thanks again to our audience. Thanks again to you, Brent Bowers, the Land Shark King over there. And Mr. Mendoza, if you would, take us out.
Thanks for tuning in to Industry Sector Expert Interviews, brought to you by CRECo.ai, your source for the latest in real estate and technology. Be sure to follow us on all social media at CRE Collaborative and check out our past episodes for more expert advice and strategies. See you next time.